Hey, John with Simple Property Management. Today I want to talk about upgrades that you should be thinking about doing on your rental property. So let's get into upgrades that pay. I think that's a nice way of putting it. The first thing I would do is curb appeal. So you want to remember as we're going through all of these, we're you have to look at this as a tenant. So if you're a tenant, you have 10, 20, 30 different apartment buildings or single family homes that you can look at. So you're comparing your apartment or home with the new one down the street. So what are we going to do to upgrade your apartment that may be built in early 1900s, 1950s, 60s, 70s? What are we going to do so that tenants pick yours over the apartment complex or the brand new property down the street? So number one, I think, is curb appeal. Landscaping. Make sure your landscaping is in good order. You don't have weeds everywhere. You don't have weeds coming up through your driveway cracks. Your driveway isn't broken and falling apart. Um, you have, you don't have to do anything extravagant, but you don't have a tree growing up right next to your foundation. Maybe nice new mulch every few years will help with the curb appeal. Is the lighting good and is the lighting upgraded? I mean, you can go get a new outdoor light. I know things are expensive, but a new outdoor light is not that expensive. Tenants care about their safety as they're walking up. So is it lit up well? Is the door in good shape? Or when they push on the door, do they got to put their shoulder into it? And does it squeak and does it mark up the floor on the inside because the door needs to be cut down or the hinges are loose? Is that door in good shape? Is it painted? And then I just think that nice house numbers, they just adds to the house. You pull up nice landscaping, you have a nice lighting, you have your door is freshly painted or in good repair, and then that's like the cherry on top are those house numbers. Washer and dryer hookups. Now some apartments you can't do washer and dryer hookups. It's just not feasible. Maybe you don't have room in the unit, but people are tenants are increasingly asking us and wanting washer and dryer hookups. And I think about it from my own perspective. If I were moving, would I move to a place without washer and dryer hookups? I wouldn't, to be fair. And I really do think all you need right now is washer and dryer hookups. If you have the washer and dryer there, that's great, but it increases your maintenance costs as those break and things like that. So it's a huge convenience for tenants. They don't have to go out. They don't have to worry about, okay, I have this event on this day and this event going on this day, and when am I going to go out to the laundromat to do laundry? So it's a huge convenience, and they'll pay more for it, obviously, because convenience matters. So, washer and dryer hookups is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, that we suggest. And then central air. It used to be as you went to college, if you went to college, you're in these dorms, there's no AC. And then maybe you get an apartment, and if you want AC, you have to buy your own window shaker. And now it's like everything has AC. Everybody's pampered, throughout the whole thing, the whole process of being renting, as a student. So growing up, people are having more homes that have central air, so they just expect it. It's easier to rent, obviously, in the summer, because when prospective tenant walks into a property, they're not walking in and it's 100 degrees in there. It also helps in the summer with humidity. That's another big one, especially basements. And then just fewer turnovers because you don't have, when the summer 100-degree heat hits, you don't have tenants that are smoldering in their apartment. And then another big one I think that people forget about is less window units equals less maintenance. So somebody brings in a window unit. What if they don't prop it properly so that the water spills outside of the house? Maybe it comes back in the house, and then next thing you know, you have a wall with water in it. Maybe you have a tenant that plugs in too many, and then they're blowing breakers. You have windows, these old wood windows going up and down. That's another one that's not even on the list is windows. That's mostly because a lot of windows are already updated. But if you have old wood windows, people are putting them up and down to put in their window unit. That's just more wear and tear on them. So, and I do think with single family homes, AC is like a must, basically a must nowadays. Lighting and painting. I mean, who doesn't love walking into a property and the paint is nice? I'm not saying it has to be brand new paint, but the paint is nice. It's neutral colors. You don't have, that old lime green uh, in the kitchen. You don't have that nicotine yellow in the kitchen. People aren't smoking. They're not supposed to smoke inside anymore. So you can get rid of that nicotine yellow because you won't need it. Nicotine yellow was brought in because then the nicotine would just, if the wall would look like the nicotine, it would just all blend in. Now you don't need that. So nice neutral colors. I prefer gray. I am not an interior designer though. But you don't have marks all over the walls. These 30-year-old light fixtures that are just old, dilapidated, those just, they're dark to start, and then they just make the property look old. So nothing really beefs up a property like nice paint and then LED flush mount fixtures. They're not that expensive. And then again, brighter homes, they sell themselves. People like, a brighter home. Our personal house was built in the late 70s, and it seems like every day I'm like, oh, we should put LED fixture there and there because it's just so dark. So brighten up that property, especially in an apartment where you may only have windows on two or three sides of the apartment. You don't get the full four sides of sunlight. Flooring, this is one I still see a lot. You walk in, you see you've got brown carpet here, and then going into the bedroom, it's lime green or burgundy carpet. It's like, no, get rid of that. Again, tenants are comparing your unit to the newer unit down the street or the unit that the landlord has just remodeled. And again, I'm not, we're not saying that you have to go and spend $1 million on flooring, but nice consistent colors. I personally like plank everywhere except for bedrooms. Tenants still do like carpet in bedrooms. If it's a second floor apartment, you might think about carpet everywhere just from a sound deadening standpoint. But somebody walks into a property and the flooring is all scratched or the carpet's all beat up. It's just not a good feel. So you want that premium feel when they're walking into your rental property. Kitchen upgrades. Here's where people think that they have to spend $25,000, and you don't. You really don't. So, um, you don't need granite countertops. We've actually been using. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a thinner countertop that you can buy at like Home Depot, and it holds up well. It looks really nice. Because the challenge is counter or cabinets are really expensive. It's really expensive to remodel a whole kitchen. So if you have nice, those old bulletproof um, built-in cabinets, sorry, uh, then you can keep those cabinets. You can even buy new cabinet doors. I mean, we have a place that we've ordered some from. They make them. They look really nice. They ship them up. I think it's out of Ohio or Indiana or something. They're not super expensive, and you put new doors on, a new countertop, new hardware on your doors, and it just looks really, really nice. Another thing, if you have the old faucet from 1990 that's all kind of beat up and it's got your lime buildup and things like that, get rid of that. And then the only other thing is when you're replacing appliances, replace them to match. So a lot of times you'll see like a white fridge and a black dishwasher and a stainless steel stove or whatever, and it's like just get all those to match. That just you want to bring that you want to give that tenant that premium feel. And then bathroom, tenants, they rent by kitchens and baths. So you want your bathroom, you want a nice, clean bathroom, resurface that tub if needed. You have that hard water buildup on the tub, just resurface it. It's like a couple $100. Not that expensive. Gives a really good look to the tub. Or your long-term fix is obviously replacing that tub. If you have old looking tile, you can resurface that tile also. So we've had, like a pink tile from back in the day, and we just resurfaced it. And you get rid of that pink. It's not super expensive. Um, you want good lighting. You want a fan in the bathroom just to help you with moisture, and then a nice mirror. And that kind of ties the whole bathroom together. A lot of times we'll see where it's like you have this old mirror, it's cracked, or it's got the built-in medicine cabinet and it's just ugly, looks like crap. And it's like for, $100 you can buy a new mirror. And then, it just ties everything together. So those would be my top upgrades that I would do if I had a rental property to increase value, but not only increase value, but attract the best quality tenant in the quickest amount of time possible. Yes, that apartment or that home without AC might get you a tenant, but it's going to take longer, and that does affect your bottom line. So I do feel like a lot of investors will look at it and they say, if I add AC, what's my monthly rent going to go up? And it will go up a little bit, but where you really gain it is getting a good quality tenant quicker and keeping them there for the long run. So John with Simple Property Management talking about upgrades. If you have any questions, just give me a call or shoot me an email. Thank you.